First of all, just a little recap from the previous workshop to freshen up your memory. CTF stands for Capture the Flag. It is a puzzle sort of a game where you solve problems and find some unique text, which in this case represent a flag. It mainly categorized into two, which is Jeopardy and Attack and Defense. In Jeopardy type of CTF, most of the question will be selected randomly from one of the following categories: web exploitation, crypto and steganography, forensics, bin exploitation, OSINT, reverse engineering, and scripting, also known as programming. A team will work on those questions and there will be a proof of their work which they will submit and be rewarded with points depending on the difficulty of the questions. For attack and defense type, each team will defend their own server and attack the other team's server. This type of CTF, this type of CTF is more like a real world hacking. There are some skills you need when learning CTF, which is you need to be persistent. You have a problem solving mindset. You also need to learn to give up temporarily. Take rest is a must when learning something. And lastly, a good skill of Googling. So if you're ready to commit, here are some platforms that might be useful for you in your journey of learning CTF, which is CTF Time, Try Hack Me, CTF Learn.org. Lastly, we have Hack the Box, but it is not a beginner friendly, so do check other platform first. Remember, learning and joining CTF competition can boost your portfolio greatly in the future when you are searching for a job. So that is all for the recap on the last workshop. Before we start, let's make way for Brother Hakim to bless us with a doa recitation to start our day. Brother Hakim?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahillazi bi ni'matihi tatimmu salihat. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulina amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Fa'ali ma yurid. We express our gratitude to you for allowing us to attend the CTF program. Ya Allah, we ask you for the safety of our religion and the welfare of our body. Oh Allah, Lord of the implementing authority, make the day that we have gone through, starting with your mercy, continue with your blessing, and end it with your forgiveness. And also, make the day that we have gone through with guidance and end with the victory of excellence. Ya Allah, Ya Aziz, Ya Jabbar, let our efforts as a mean to enlighten and convince ourselves that the personality safety of either outer or inner is a prerequisite for achieving happiness and excellent in various fields. O Allah, grant us faith and strength in order to face the challenge of life during the transition period and in the face of life in this new millennium. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Farijal Ham, wa Ya Kashifal Gham. Ya Allah, show us guidance and adjust our path and ways to achieve happiness and glory. Let us listen to people who like the good things. Let us avoid doing the bad and evil thing. Oh Allah, bless our life in this meeting and gathering and prevent us from harm and unfortunate events. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
Amin ya Rabbal Amin. Thank you, Brother Hakim, for the beautiful recitation. Alright, today's topic will be on Linux fundamentals, which is an important basic for CTF competition. Today, our speaker will be someone who is close to us, Brother Abu Bakar Yusuf, a third year BCS student and a certified intermediate pen tester in TryHackMe. He is currently majoring in networking and security, so no need to be shy and ask question away if you do not understand during the workshop. We will start on 10 a.m. sharp, inshallah. Please be ready with the materials given to you earlier. Thank you and have fun. Assalamualaikum everyone. Alhamdulillah, the speaker is already here and ready to start the session. Brother Abu Bakar, the floor is yours.
Alright, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For those of you who aren't there like last week, my name is Abu Bakar Yusuf Abu Bakar, and I am actually IIUM student from Kulia of KICT. I'm in my third year. So today we gonna be talking about the topic Linux fundamentals. So this topic is actually a very interesting topic and important one when we come to doing CTFs, because there are a lot of challenges that you can actually not solve them without using Linux, and and most of the websites and web servers right now, they are using Linux. So you need some knowledge on Linux so that you can solve the problems. For any further ado, let me present the slides and then we should start. So how can I make this bigger again? Oh my god, I didn't present the screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, brother.
Interesting. How about now?
Yes.
All right. So so this is a topic we're gonna be talking about. This is a top topic we're gonna be discussing today. How can I close this? All right. This is just a cover page. There is not really much information here. We go to the next page. This is our agenda for today, and I hope inshallah we will cover everything here. We're gonna start with what is Linux, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the history of Linux, and then we will discuss the distributions, like the different kind of distribution that exists in Linux. And then we're gonna talk about GUI and CLI, and then I'm gonna show you some basic commands. By the way, I hope all of you already installed the Kali Linux that I that I instructed you guys to do in the WhatsApp group. And then we're gonna see some basic commands so that you can type them in your system and then see how they behave. And then I'm gonna show you commands with options, because some commands they have options, some doesn't have options. So we're gonna talk about that one as well. Then we're gonna talk about the file system of the Linux operating system, and then IO operation like input and output, because those are very important, especially for an operating system, because technically everything in an operating system, it is either IO, oh sorry, it is either input or output. Like for example, the screen that you are seeing right now, it's an output. For example, like if you click at something, it is an input. So basically everything in an operating system, it is one of these IO operations. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this one as well. Then we're gonna talk about some common tools that we use like everyday Linux, and then we're gonna talk about some control operations like how to control the system, or how to control the flow of execution of a program in Linux. Actually, this one doesn't really apply to only Linux. It actually apply to almost all the programming languages that you've already studied. But because Linux offer this to us, so we have to take advantage of it. We have to capitalize it and then use it. And then the last one, but not the least, we should talk about the users, like how to create, to delete user, how to handle multiple users, and all that kind of stuff. And then the last one should be Q&A. So this one is your turn to ask question, and for me to try to give you answer as much as I can. So I hope I didn't spend much time in this agenda thing. So let us start with the first one and the second one. So what is Linux exactly? What is this Linux? Is it like a food, or is it like something like some alien thing, some weird thing? Well, I actually know. Linux is an operating system, and by operating system, actually, operating system. What does operating system does exactly? It enables the software to communicate with the hardware. This is exactly what operating system does. Anything else, especially at this point, you shouldn't really care much about it. Like for example, like the Windows operating system, the Mac OS operating system, the Unix operating system, any of those stuff. Like the core fundamental thing that it does, it enables the software. For example, like when you click at a keyboard, so operating system is responsible to detect which character did you click so that it will show the character on the screen. And operating system, it is responsible to increase the sound, the volume, the brightness of your PC, all those kind of things, all those kind of things. So basically, Linux 2 is like Windows or Mac OS or any type of operating system that you know. For example, Android operating system, iOS operating system, Linux, and all those things. They are Linux is basically almost the same as them. The only thing that it does is enables you to communicate with the hardware. And I am not really interested in reading all these things. So if you are interested, I will share the slides with you guys, because I really hate reading things. They are very boring. So we're gonna talk about the history of Linux. So in 1991, Linus Torvalds, he is in Finland. He is a Finnish student. He decided to make an open source operating system, because actually before 1991, the operating system, they are not free and they are not open source. So they are owned by like an entity of an organization. For example, like at the time, Unix OS was owned by Sun, and then soon they eventually changed to be Oracle. So at that time, there was actually no free and open source operating system. Any operating system at that time that people are using, it is, you have to pay for it, and then you cannot see the real implementation of the code. Like, how does the operating system work underneath? You don't have access to that because it is not free and it is not open source. But Linus decided, you know, I am tired of this type of thing. Let me just make my own operating system. So in 1991, he decided to start a project to create a free operating system. And then in the in and then actually before 1991, already somewhere around 1984, there was an organization that they called themselves GNU. So this GNU actually stands for GNU is not Unix. And Linux and GNU, they share the same goal. So the goal of GNU is to make free softwares. For example, like the browser that you use, they want it to be free and open source. For example, like the video editor that you use, they want it to be free, the text editor, and almost everything. So the initial goal for this GNU was to make all the softwares free, and then the initial goal of of Linux is to make free and open source kernel. So if you combine Linux and GNU projects,
that will give you the whole complete package of the Linux operating system. And if we look at this down, as I already told you, they share the same goal. And as of today, Linux actually run more than 40% of of the web, and include government agencies. For example, like NASA, they actually use Linux. Google use Linux. Netflix use Linux. UIA to use Linux. So most of the big companies, they use Linux as their main frame service. So Alhamdulillah, we finished with this history and all those things. So now, if you remember that I told you that Linux is actually just a kernel, and the GNU project, it gives you access to free softwares that will make your system um, alive, basically, that will make it work. So this is where we have a different type of Linux distribution. We have the type, we have like a beginner one, for example, Ubuntu or Linux Mint or just Ubuntu and Kali Linux. All these, they are actually beginner friendly because they all have GUI, and when you install them, you already have like almost everything you need to work. You will have like a text editor, you have files, you have a lot of things. And then we came to the advanced version of Linux distribution. All of these, when you install them, you you get nothing. You doesn't have any GUI application. Like you have to install that one too by yourself. For example, if you install Gentoo, or if you install Void Linux, or if you install Arch Linux, all of these three, they are actually considered as advanced Linux distribution. And the reason why we have a lot of distributions. By the way, please, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and pose it, because maybe you will forget the question. Okay, I'm gonna come back, continue about these things. And the reason why we have a lot of distributions was all the softwares, they are free, so you can tailor the system to be exactly what you want it to be. And if you want to build your own operating system as well, there is actually an LFS project. LFS stands for Linux from scratch. So, by this, you can build the system, and then you can configure everything you want it to work exactly the way you want it to. So, enough for this distribution thing. And the next part, we're gonna talk a little bit about CLI and GUI. What is their differences? What did they offer to the user? So the command line interface, which we usually just call it as CLI or CLI, enables the user to spawn a shell and then send command directly to the operating system. So this CLI, it gives you an interface to talk directly to the kernel. And when I say kernel, I basically mean the operating system. It is not like a GUI that if you click at something, and then the application will talk to the operating system on your behalf. No, when you are using CLI, you are communicating with the operating system directly, without any middle application. And the GUI, graphical user interface, created in order to hide the complexity of the kernel functions and the operating system. And then the GUI is beginner friendly, yeah, obviously, because in CLI, like, you have to memorize a lot of commands, and then you have to be familiar with how things work in there. But in GUI, for example, if you want to open new tab, you don't have to memorize any command. You just take your mouse, come to the new tab button, click, and voila, your tab is already open. but but like um in CLI there will be 100, not probably like a thousands of commands that you will have to use to make things work. So when I explain this CLI and GUI to you, you will be like, hold on a minute. So why would I took the CLI thing? Because it is clearly shown that the CLI it is more complex, and so why should I use it in the first place? Well, actually, yes, it is complex at the beginning, but when you get used to it, you will understand that the difference between CLI and GUI it is completely not compatible, because in CLI you can do things a lot faster than GUI. Absolutely. Unlike in CLI, you have control over your system. In CLI, when you did something wrong, you can see the error, like the exact error. And another bonus thing, when you do something in CLI, you will feel like, yes, I'm actually doing something good here. It is not like in GUI that we've been using computers for our whole life, and then like this GUI is always GUI, and then you're just gonna get tired to it. So please try to use the CLI whenever you get chance to. So time to move to the next slide. All right. So here we come to the most important part of all this session, the Linux commands. I will explain I will explain them to you practically, because I don't really like doing things not practically. So how can I make this bigger? I hope you can see, because I want to split my screen. Hmm? Okay, so we gonna start with the directories. By the way, in Linux, when we say directories, it actually means folders. Folders. I hope you understand that. In Linux, directories stand for folders. So when you when I said change directory, I actually means change folder, because in Windows you have folders, but in Linux they are not called folders; they are called directories. So the first command is called ls, and this ls stand for list working directory. Okay, so this other window that you can see, it is called terminal. And for those of you who install the Kali Linux, you can open your terminal by pressing at Control Alt T, Control CTR, and then you press Alt, then you press T. You should get something similar to this, not exactly this, but similar to this. So when you get something like this, then now we're gonna start working with the commands that we have here. So for example, the ls command, the ls command stand for list the items in this directory. I mean, show all the items in this folder. Okay, so actually this folder is empty because I didn't put anything inside it, which was which is not really a good thing, because I want to demonstrate things. So let me go back a little bit. Okay, nice. So for example, right now that I go back, like that I go back two level behind, I can see the files here. For example, I have a file called committee, I have a file called Linux fundamental. This one is not a file, it's a folder, and then I have a file called malware. So this is exactly the same as you going and then clicking at this SIG folder in my PC. So then let's go to the next command. The next command is the cd command. The cd stands for change working directory. For example, right now I am in SIG folder. So let's assume I want to, by directory I means folder, I keep repeating this over and over and over again. So let's assume like I decided I want to move from this folder to this Linux fundamental folder. So the way to do that is by typing cd and then Linux fundamentals. And by the way, if you want to move to the directory, you don't have to type all the full name. For example, like Linux fundamental, like if I just type Linux, I can just press tab, and then it should auto complete it for me. So if I click enter, now you can see this top changes from SIG only. Before it was only SIG, right? So now it's changed to SIG slash Linux fundamental. So that means that right now I am inside Linux fundamental. Actually, I should probably show you how this thing is gonna look like in a GUI, because maybe you might understand a lot faster. So we finish with this ls, we finish with this cd, and then now we're gonna talk about mkdir. So mkdir stands for make directory. Make directory simply means to create a new folder, like an empty folder. So let's assume I want to make a um let me show you the content of this folder. If I press ls, you see now it is empty, right? So let's assume I want to make a folder name folder one. So I can say mkdirl folder one. If I press enter, you will not see anything. That means that the command executed successfully. So if I press ls now again, you can see that we have new folder one. You understand, right? So this command mkdir, it is used to create a folder only. That like this one is very very simple, and like it is not really complicated command, very straightforward. So now you can see that that my terminal is already full, right? So if I want to make it empty as it used to be, I can just press clear, or I can press Control L. But I'm just gonna press clear and let's press enter. Then you're gonna see everything is gone, and then it's gonna be like, you see now it's like clear and like empty. So then our next command is rm-f. This rm stands for remove, but when you give it dash f, you mean that you want to force to remove something. So for example, let me press ls here. So let's assume I decided I don't want this folder anymore, right? So now I want to delete this folder. So if I say rm folder one, do you think it will delete the folder? I'll give you like 3 seconds to think in your mind. But actually it will not. It will show us an error because this rm without any option, it is expecting a file, not a folder. And you see, if I press enter, you see like rm cannot remove folder one is a directory. So which means that this rm can only remove a file. So but if we want to remove a folder, we should do something like this: rm minus d, and then the folder name, for example here, rm minus d folder one. So if I press enter, this folder one, you will see that it's gone. If I press ls again, for example, so it is asking me, are you sure that you want to remove folder one? Yeah, sure, I'm sure. If I press ls now, you're gonna see that there are there are it's nothing. This one actually is supposed to be minus D at this one now. Um, so, and another thing I wanted to tell you is that in Linux, if you delete something with this rm command, it is not like in Windows that it will go to what do you call that place again? I think it's Windows, so I actually don't know much thing about Windows. But like if you delete something in Linux, it actually gone forever. You can never ever get it back. So you have to be really careful. Like if you delete your files, if you delete your folders and things, they are 100% gone and they will never come back. So if you want to delete something, you really need to make sure that okay, this thing I will no longer be needing it. So then you can just delete it. And then the next command is rmdar. This rmdar, it's actually a depreciated command, so don't actually use it. I don't even know why I put it here. So technically, this rm dash d and rm dar, they did the same thing, but the only difference is this rm dar, it doesn't really delete a folder that has something inside it. So that's why it's not that much of a useful. So and then we have the last command on under the directories part. It is rm tag rf. So R stands for recursive, F stands for force. Um, I know that most of you know what does recursive looks like, right? Like to like go inside something and then go inside the other one and then go inside the other one like this. So let's assume that I have a folder that has a folder inside, and then the folder two has folder. For example, let me give you an example. Let me just make folder one, and then let me go to folder one, and then make another one folder two, and then let me make another one folder four here. So now inside folder one, I have folders, right? So let me go back. So if I decided I want to delete folder one, for example, I say rm-d folder one, do you think now it will be deleted? I'll give you like 3 seconds to think of it again. Well, the answer is no. It will not delete it. Someone is messaging. No, it will not delete it, unfortunately, because folder one, it has content inside it. So and then this rm-d only delete an empty folder, the folder that has nothing inside it. So if I press enter, you can see it is complaining rm cannot remove folder one. Why? Because directory not empty. You get it now? So how can I delete a folder that I don't need anything else inside? For example, like you have a folder called movies, and then like you watch all the movies, and you are no longer interested in keeping those things in your PC anymore. So the way to do that is by using the tag rf thing. So if I say rm dash rf folder one here, now it should successfully delete it because tag r stand for recursive. That means that delete folder one, delete the folder inside folder one, delete the folder inside, like this. All the hierarchy should be dead. So if I do tag rf folder one, if I press enter, you see I didn't get any message. That means that things executed successfully. So if I press ls, now you see that folder one it's gone because I actually deleted it. So this is all like for the directories. And to be honest, there are actually a lot of things in the directories that you will have to know. But for now, we doesn't really have much time, and this is not something that I can teach you at once. So it's something that you have to explore on your own and then learn things on your own. So I will give you like a book. If you are free, you can read it. You can get some information out there as well. So the next commands that we're gonna look at files. So before we look at files, I would like to share you one concept of Linux. So in Linux, we have the concepts of everything is a file. It doesn't really matter. A folder is a file in Linux. Like your hard drive is a file in Linux. The camera that I'm using right now to show you my face is a file in Linux. Everything. By everything I mean everything. Everything in Linux is a file. So that is why this terminal is this CLI. It's actually very powerful if you think as everything as a file. So that means from this terminal I can open my camera, I can increase my brightness, I can decrease my brightness, I can increase my volume, I can do everything because internally everything is Linux is considered as a file. So because of these, files are very important, and then we're gonna be working with files, not most of the time, all the time, because everything is a file. So we're just gonna be using files all the time. So now we're gonna be looking at files and some commands to use them and to manipulate them. So one of the easy command when it comes to files is the file command. And this file command, what does it does? It show you an information on the file that you are the for example like it will show you like brief information about the file. For example, let's say ls let's say I make a folder one again here, and if I say file folder one, it's gonna tell me that folder one is a directory. You understand, right? So this file will tell you what does that file is. And then let's assume I create not a file but I create a text file. For example, I say touch s.txt. This doesn't make any sense. Say file.txt, and then I say file.txt. It's gonna tell me that this file is an empty. Yeah, the file is a txt file, but it's an empty. So let's assume that I put something inside the file, like because right now you're gonna see that I'm doing a lot of things, but eventually you will understand them. So I just want to demonstrate to you how this file actually works. So you see, I say file and the file name because the file name is file.txt, and it's telling me okay. So this file.txt is a file that contains ASCII text. Yeah, exactly. Because if I open file.txt, you're gonna see there's SDF inside, and SDF is it is an ASCII characters, right? So this is how files work. And let's assume that I have an executable file. For example, let me go to my home directory. Um, for example, I say file view. This view is a video, right? You can see like it is an MP4. It told me that this file it is an ISO media MP4 version 2. All this history that you really don't need to care much about it. For example, like I want to view the file for this vehicle.js. I can say file vehicle.js. See, it tells me that vehicle.js is a C++ source. Why is it C++ source? Also, there is actually something about Node.js that you need to know it, and I know why it showed this C++ source because actually Node.js is built on C++, so it is recognized this as a C++ file, so it's not really a problem. But let's assume I say file, what is this thing, .pptx. See, it told me that what is this was the last slide for last week. It's a Microsoft PowerPoint 2007 plus. So this is how you use this file. When you doesn't know what is the file extension, or like a file doesn't have an extension or like an image or something, you can just run file on that thing, and it will tell you which type of file that file is. You understand how this file works, right? I hope so. And the next command is gonna be touch. Yeah, by touch stand for touch. Touch you create an empty file. For example, like let me just show it to you the folder I'm in. Okay. So let's assume I want to create an empty file. and that file I want to name it. Let's say I want to make an empty file called Linux fundamental. Okay, so how to do that? I'm gonna do something like this: touch Linux fundamentals like this. So if I execute this command, before I execute it, let me press ls for you guys to see what is inside the directory. You see, I have only file.txt and folder one, right? But if I do touch Linux underscore fundamentals, see it shows me nothing. That means that the last command is executed successfully. If I press ls, you're gonna see that I have new file called Linux fundamental. You understand that is right? Um, this touch command like this, it is not really useful, but we like you usually use it when you want to make a backup. For example, like when you make a backup today, so you want the system to know that the last day that you make a backup in this directory is like this day. So you can just touch the back file so that next time when you want to make a backup, or like next time when you are checking like when was the last time that you do backup, then you can just see the date from the file that you just created. For example, this Linux fundamental, let's assume that I want to see the date and the time that I created. So you're gonna use the ls dash l, and then you're gonna say Linux fundamentals like this. This dash l, it's gonna show you some extra listing information. So if I press ls, you're gonna see that. Let me make it a little smaller so that you can see. You see the file is created on Sunday, December 12, 10:25, 33 seconds. So, and then now it's 10:27. So basically 2 minutes ago, I created this file. So let's assume I am making a script to do a backup. So I can write like an if statement to check if the day is not today, or if the file is older than one week, so that means I have to do backup. So like this, like you can actually use this touch command in a lot of places. So now we're going to be talking about the rm command. This rm command, we use it to remove something like a file or folder. Actually, we already have it here, but I'm just repeating it here because it falls in the category of manipulating files. So let's assume I decided, this Linux fundamentals, I don't need this file anymore. Like, let me just delete it. So I can say rm Linux fundamentals. I press tab, and if I press enter, it can ask me, are you sure I want to delete this? Yeah, I'm sure. So if I press ls again, you're gonna see that Linux fundamental file is gone. You understand, right? And the next command is cp. Cp stands for copy. So let's assume I want to copy this file one.txt to this folder one. Actually, give me a second. Let's put this thing here. Ah, sorry. Because I felt like you are not really gonna understand a lot of things in here. The more I go further, the more it's gonna be complicated. So I guess let me just use a video. Just give it a second to go up. Kill this. Oh, the same hotspot message. I don't care, just walk. Alright, sure. For those of you that already installed the Kali, it should be the same as what I'm going to be showing to you right now. I think this file, like this file manipulation, I want to show it to you like graphically so that you will understand a lot faster. So let's assume I want to copy something. For example, use this thing. Open the folder. Okay. How do you do this again? So let me go to the document folder. Now let's go back. All right. So let's assume I want to copy this all observers to desktop. Okay. So in Windows or in any type of operating system, you're gonna come and click at this file and then right click and where is copy, copy here, and then come to desktop and then paste here, right? Okay, yeah. This one is good, but it took you a long time to do it because you have to copy this, go there, click at that, click at this. If you can see the desktop now, you can see that all servers is here, right? So let's assume I wanted to delete it. I can say this one, or is delete. Remove the trash. Now it is gone, right? So the way to do that in the terminal is, let's assume I open the terminal here. I can press ls. I can see the old servers file here. So an easy way to copy this file to desktop is by saying cp all servers to where, desktop. See, only only this one command is will copy this file to desktop. If I press enter and then if I minimize this, you're gonna see the file is already here. So now you can see how fast is it to actually use the terminal, right? For example, let's assume I want to copy something from like from inside like a lot of folders, and then I have to put it in somewhere complicated. So if we can use the cp command, it's going to be very easy and simple. The cp copy files and mv move the files. So you already know what is the difference between copy and move. Copy, it's copy something. Move, it it took all the thing and then put it in the other folder. For example, let me delete this observers from here as well. So let me open my terminal. By the way, if you don't want to press the if you don't want to press the Control Alt T, you can come and click here, and it should open a new terminal for you. Let's assume I press ls observers, right? So if I mv all servers to the desktop, I press enter. This one works correctly without any error. If I come back to desktop, I will see this file is here. But if I do ls again here, you're gonna see that observers is gone because I already moved it to desktop, right? You see here, it doesn't exist anymore. Before it used to be 41497 and then the all servers, but now all servers is gone. So this is how you use the mv command. And then another command is rename. Yeah, this command too, we really don't use it in Linux that much because the way it is designed, you cannot really rename one. You cannot really rename file by its name. You can only rename file by the extension of the file. For example, I cannot rename this username to something else. No. This username has to have an extension. For example, username.txt. But I can rename this space.txt and this users.txt. So this is how this rename works. So we really don't use it that much, but still I will have to like demonstrate it to you. So you rename things by calling the rename, and you see like there's actually not much people use the rename. The rename it is not even installed default in Kali Linux. Like if I want to use rename, then I have to open a terminal in my PC. So I guess we just gonna leave it because you won't be having it anyways in your PC. But there is actually a way to rename file without using this rename file. And how to do that is by using the mv command. So you're gonna move the file from the original file to the new name of the file. For example, let me open the pass.txt file for you to see what is inside pass.txt. That's a lot of text. So for example, like like this one, it has a lot of text. It's kind of hard to see the thing. Just paste the text here. A lot of things different. How about cat for 1%? This one is very like a small file so that we can see, how the rename, how can you rename a file using mv command. So we're gonna say mv, then the original name of the file, which is 4149414497, and then we're gonna say the new name of the file. So let's assume I want to call this one script.php, like this. If I press enter, I should get no error. That means everything goes as expected. And if I press ls, you're gonna see that 414.497.php is gone. You see, it is no longer here. It used to be here at the beginning, right? But now we have script.php. And if I open script.php, you're gonna see the content of script.php and the content of 41497 is the same thing. You understand, right? So now I show you how to rename a file, how to copy a file, how to remove a file, how to create an empty file, and how to see the type of the file. And let me file script.php again. You see it saw me, it's ASCII text, yeah, sure, with CRLF line terminators. Like if you use if you are a programmer, you already know that CRLF line terminators, they are either PHP script or Perl script, or which one as well. There are like maybe three programming languages that they use CRLF. So this is all about files. And the next we're gonna talk about the file content. Okay, right? So you see, I use this cat command multiple times, but I actually like never tell you what does this cat command exactly does. And no one asked. I don't know why, but sure. So now it is time for me to tell you what does this cat command does, because it is falls on under the file content. And by the way, it is totally normal to use a command that you doesn't really know exactly how it works, because you cannot you cannot know everything like all together at once. Now you have to go step by step. For example, like you can I cannot really demonstrate all of these things without using cat, and I cannot just jump into using cat without showing you all of that before. So they are all dependent. At some point, you will have to use something that you doesn't know, but in the future, you will know it. So this is how it goes. So the first one, I'm gonna show you the head command. The head command, what it does, it basically how do you say this? It basically outputs the first 10 lines of the file. For example, like if I say head this script.php, say head script.php, it's gonna output only the first 10 lines. You see only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the rest they are just next empty lines. You see, and by the way, empty lines too, they are count as a line. So these are a total of 10 lines if we can calculate them. And I will show you a way to calculate the number of lines, but not now, in the future. See, so this head, it outputs uh, only 10 lines, the beginning of a file. For example, like if you want to see only the beginning of a file, then you can just do head and see, okay, this file is useful now, this file is not useful. Let us just delete it like this. And the next command is called cal. Oh, and by the way, this head, you can give it an option. For example, if I say head tag n and then I give it 3, so this tag n stands for give me only 3 number of lines. So this will print only 3 lines. You see only 1, 2, and this empty space 2. It is consider as line. Let's say I print only two lines. Oh, sorry. See now it only print USR bin PHP and this one, which is only these two lines. So this is how head works. And tail is just the opposite of head. Tail it print it prints the tail of the file, like at the end of the file. For example, if I say tail, can you see? Let me open the cat script so that you can visualize it. So you can see if I say tail script, it outputs only the 10 end of the lines. You see, I start from down here. You see here as well, I start from down here until here is the 10 lines. You understand now, right? And the tail two, you can give it an option of tag n to give you like how many lines you want from the end. For example, tag n 4. So I want 4 lines from the end. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines from the end of the document. So like this, and then we have a cat command, and this cat command it outputs all the file. Anything in the file it's output. For example, like I say cat scripted PHP. You'll see all the content of the file here, right? And if I want to show it to you from the GUI, I can just show it to you. Do you do that exactly? I am using the scripted PHP. Right? If I double click it, you can see this one is a text editor. So like you see the file content here, right? So this is what will looks like when you use cat, because it will output all the file, which is exactly what we are getting here. Like I'm sure it to you. If I say cat script, you can see it output all the file. So this is how cat works. And this cat, it doesn't really have like an option like here. You cannot really like you cannot give it an option. It's only just cat. And then we have the next command is called tag, and tag is the reverse of cat. If you can just see cat by the opposite order. So if I say tag script.php, it's gonna show me the end line as the first one. You can see this one is the last line from this one is the end of the script, right? Like the original script. But if you can see here, we started with this one, then here we come to this else. So like this, the cat will give you file the file name like at the beginning, and then the tag will give you the reverse order of the cat. Basically, the cat reverse order. And then we have strings. Strings, it output a readable string in a file. So for example, let's assume you have a binary, and then you don't want to see like all the other things. You just want to see this the script in the file. Oh, sorry, the strings in the file. For example, let's see if I can make a very simple binary to show you how this thing works. Um, just just make a very simple hello world program in C or C++. I don't know. But I thought I'm gonna be using my PC, but it turns out that I have to switch here. I have all these files already in my PC, but here they don't exist really. So now you see we have an executable file, right? So I can execute it by calling G++. At this time, you really don't need to understand how this G++ things work. The only thing you need to know is that this string will output. So if I execute, you can see that it prints hello as expected. So let's assume that I want to see. Okay, so now let me show you what it's gonna show. File a.out. You see, tell me that this a.out is an L file. L file stands for executable linkable file, dynamically link. Like this is what it's just gonna show you when something is executable in Linux. So let's assume I want to get the only strings. For example, let's say I say cat a.out. You see like what is this exactly? Well, we actually don't know. You see, like it gives me like a lot of junk information that I really don't need it right now. So let's assume I want to get only the strings in the file. So I can just say strings edit out. You see, now it's only show the strings, only the strings. And if we can scroll, we can actually see our message hello somewhere here. You can see it here, right? Wait, let me make this bigger. I hope you can see. No one told me to make it bigger. If we scroll, you can see the our message here. So like all of these are strings in the file. So this is what a string does. And then we have another one command which is called ref, and this ref stands for reverse. Reverse it is like tag, but tag it shows the file line by line reverse. But this one it shows the word line by line reverse. For example, I'd say echo Abubakar, which is my real name, if you don't know. So this Abubakar. So let's assume I want the R to come first and then A key like this. I can easily do something like this. I can just swap it to reverse. You can see like this, right? R come first, A like this one. So this is what this reverse does. I think you can actually just call reverse and then give it something. No, no, it doesn't work like this. It have to get the input from standard output. Yeah, sure. So like this, for example, like you see here, I output only Abubakar, and then here I output the reverse version of Abubakar. So you will be confused. What is the usage of this exactly? Well, sometimes in CTF you will get the flag like upside down. For example, like the flag is like this, SIG flag, something like this, right? I will just print this thing. So maybe you will get the flag like this one. You get it, right? So if you get the flag like this one, instead of you to try to do it like manually with your own hands, because sometimes the flag is very long, you can just do something here and then just swap it to reverse, and then you should just get the original one. And like if you can see here, I reverse it to like opposite, and then I reverse it back to correct. So this is how this reverse work. And then here we come to system. All right. This system, I think I have to use my PC to show you how this thing actually works. But how can I do that? Was a question to ask. Right. So we have some commands like du, like free, like df, lsblk, mount, and unmount. So let's start it with du. Du. What does it du means? Du. This du it shows you the file size of something. For example, like let me say ls. So let's assume I want to know the size of this hello.cpp file. I can say du hello.cpp shows me 4, means that this file is 4 kilobytes. But if I want to see it like more accurately, I have to pass it dash h, and this that h stands for human readable. You see now it shows me 4.0 kilobytes, because like what is 4 exactly? Is this 4 gigabyte? Is this 4 megabyte? Is it 4 something? I don't know, right? But like when I give to dash h, it shows me that this 4 stands for 4 kilobytes of data. So this is what this du does. And actually it is very useful because I can du like a folder. For example, I can du which folder has something inside it. That's a question to ask. Let's say I can do download. Even download to it's only 4 kilobytes. Well, because this is actually a VM, so there are not really files in here. But like, let me just open my terminal here. Yes. So let me do you my home directory, du dash home dash black directory, which is my name. And because my home directory is very big, so it will take some seconds to return to give you an output. You have to wait for a little bit. It's taking a really long time. All right. So my home directory don't really care about these permission denies. There are some caches that, for some reasons, they are not readable by the user, which I need to figure out why is that even happening. So if you can see, it's 41G, and 41G stands for 41 gigabytes. So that means like my all my files, they are 41 gigabytes. And then the next part is, I think I can just kill this one. Do one. And then the next command on the system. Now you know du is for do show um, file size. And please, when I say file size, I mean like folders too. They are files in Linux, as I already told you this before. Folders and anything in Linux is a file. So like when I say file size, it is completely folder size, a file, an application, anything, a movie, anything is file. So the next command is free, and this free, it will show you how many RAM you have left and how many swap you use. So let me tag free and make it smaller because for some reasons this one is not really showing the way I wanted it to. If you can see here, you can see that I have a memory of 3.7 gigabyte of RAM. I use 3.2. I have free of 169. This one share and the buffer and the cache, you really don't need to know what are this these two things. You really don't need to know what are they exactly, especially for now. Just leave them. And the swap, I have swap of 9 gigabyte. It's supposed to be 10, and I don't know why it's showing anyways. I use 3 gigabyte and I have 7 left. So like this. So this is the importance of this memory. And then this df, it shows you the it shows you like all the hard drives that you have in your PC. Not really only hard drives, but it shows you like another things. For example, let me show df. Like it shows you like the partition of your hard drives, all the file system, to be like more precisely. If you can see this dev, this dev is actually my graphic cards. This dev run, they are the same thing. They are my graphic cards. And then this dev SDA3 and SDA1, they are my hard drive actually. You can see this one is 200 gigabytes, which is quite a lot. So this is my hard drive. I use 60 of it. I have available of 139. And then I have this one is my boot, like how my operating system is loaded. This is TMFS. This one too, you really don't need to care much about it. These are the virtual consoles, the hundred and something virtual consoles in Linux that exist. I only use 28 kilobyte of it because I always use only one console, so I never use all of them. So this is what this DF does. It it shows you the information of your hard drive and the graphic cards. Simple. And then we come to LSBLK. This DF and LSBLK, they almost do the same thing, but LSBLK, it doesn't shows you the information of your graphic cards. So if I do LSBLK now, it shows me only the information of my hard drive. So my hard drive is divided into three: SDA1, which is boot; SDA2, which is a swap, that 10 gigabyte that you just saw earlier, and then SDA3, which is my root directory that I put my folders and file in there. And then this SR0 is my RAM. Oh, sorry, my ROM, because like each PC, it has the ROM, so that you can load the init system. These ones, they are like the part of how the operating system actually boots. Some of you that took the operating system class, they should be able to know these things. So these are my ROM. This LSBLK, that is what it does. So like let's assume now I plug in a hard drive in my PC, or like a USB drive. If I press LSBLK, you should see a different output. So let me press. Let me put a USB. See this USB? As you can see. Wow, we don't even have much time. Interesting. Let me try to plug it here real quick. Let me do LSB. Okay, now again, little load yet. Taking very long time to organize it. Hello. Oh, I didn't plug it properly. So I'm using my PC is not recognizing the USB that I use always. What? Why is this not working though? Interesting. Of course, I'm using this PC is not recognizing my USB. I think because it has a Windows file system on it. And this LSB, okay, it shows the hard drive. We're gonna move forward because we actually didn't have much time, even though we started earlier. That is what I thought. Let's go to the next slides. How can I go next? Let me make this full screen there. Please. This is the file system. Oh, the file system is actually how the operating system put the hierarchy of the system. For example, like you go to the dash, like the dash folder in your in Linux operating system, you're gonna see a lot of folders. For example, if I want to demonstrate this to you correctly, I have to use the VM. Okay, so I go to dash, you're gonna see a lot of folders like bin, dev, home, a lot of things here. So these are the root directory. These are all the files that your PC has right now, and these are what makes your PC workable right now. Like if you delete this like dash folder, how do you call this one? The backslash folder, your PC will not boot because everything is here. And as I told you, everything is a file. So if you delete things in your PC, they will just gonna disappear and they'll never come back. So please, if you see someone is advising you to do something like this, rm.rf, this one, please don't do it because this basically means delete. This basically means self-destruct your operating system. So please don't do it. It is suicide, and people they just like to make memes about it. Well, I don't think it's gonna be enough for us to talk all about these things. Unfortunately, we come to the I/O operation, input and output. These are filters. Filters they are used to search. Filters they are used to do an operation on a file. For example, like let's say file one. So this grep stand for to search for a text, to search for an occurrence of a text. For example, I can say, and then I can say grep SD. It it should show me where SD exists in the file. You can see, show me that show me that there is SD in this file indeed. But let's assume that I search for something like this one, 222. It doesn't show anything. That means the thing doesn't exist. And cut it cut two files like it cut two texts. I don't think we actually have enough time to demonstrate this thing, or maybe I can extend until 11:30 if you guys are okay with it, and we can probably finish some part of these things because those are very important as well. This cut is cut file. We don't need to really talk too much about it. This tr it translate things. This unique it return a unique thing in a file. For example, like I have file. For example, let me give you an example of let me let me add something to this SDF again, SDF, and then A, then you can see the content file of this file, right? SDF twice, A twice, and then Abu. So if I say cat file and then type it to unique, you can see it only returns the unique thing. You see, we have two SDF, but only returned one. A, it's only returned one. Abu is unique. So this is what unique does. It's set. Why is even set here? Set is very complex command to use. This set command is search for something and it replaces it. For example, I want to search for SDF and then I want to replace it with III globally in this file. Oh, sorry, I need to give the file name. Can you see? So now I search for SDF and then I replace it with IIIG. And these are really like a basic. Like there are a lot of things you can do with SDF. Like you can construct a very complex thing inside it. And the sort it's sorting. For example, I can say sort file.txt. You see, A come first and then AB and then SDF. These ones are very easy things to really understand. And then we come to type and redirection. Why is it in this series? Redirections, for example, I want to output a file output to another file. How am I gonna explain this? Let me just show you how it works. Maybe you can understand faster. So for example, this is the content of this file, right? So let's assume I want to send to another file. For example, like I want to create a file two, but I want the file of number two to be the same as file number one. So instead of me creating this file and then copy pasting the file, I can just use this greater than sign, and then I can say file two.txt. So now the content of file one and the content of file two is the same. You see, if I press file two, it is the same, right? This is how this thing works. And then we have the pipe. So the pipe it is used to chain commands. For example, like I can execute multiple commands at once. If you can see I use a lot of kite, for example, kite file, the txt, and then I use the pipe, right? So if I don't want to use the pipe, I can just use a unique. But this pipe means that send the output of the last command as an input to the next command. For example, like a unique, it requires a text to work. And then the cat, it will provide the text to the unique. So if you see now, you can see that. And actually oh sorry, if I just do um unique file one txt, see, it gives me the same thing actually, but because I cut the file and then I pipe it to the unique. So like this. And then this less than sign, it means the standard input. You already know the standard input. Basically, your keyboard. Anything comes from your keyboard. And this one, it means here is a document. So this here is a document. You use it to terminate something in a terminal. For example, I am writing a script that script check if the user enter queue, please exit the program, right? So in Linux, like instead of using the if else statement and all this kind of stuff, you can just do something like this. You can just do maybe echo, and then you can have double of this here. Here is the document, and then you can give what you want to be the key. For example, Q. Sorry, for example, Q. Okay, and then I will send what I write inside the file called name test.txt. So now it will keep taking input, for example, Abu, Yusuf, SIG, all these things. But if I press Q, it will stop. You see now I press Q, it stop. You understand, right? So if I cat test, you're gonna see that it has Abu Yusuf and SIG inside. What? Why is it not here? Interesting. Sorry. Let's go all the way up. Getting this. But this command supposed not to be echo. It's supposed to be cat actually because the echo cannot work here. It's supposed to be cat. Okay, so now this should work. I need to name the change name for, let's call this one test one. Okay, so if I cat test one, you should see Abu YouTube SIG. You got it? So when I press Q, I stop taking input. And this one is here is a string. So basically, this one it doesn't really do the same thing as the other one. This one like it execute command at the right hand side and then it gives the output of that command to the left hand side. These are some complex things in Linux actually. Why are they even here? I don't want to confuse you with this the last one, but yeah, sure. Let me just give you a very simple example of it. Maybe you might be able to understand something. So let's assume I want to pipe test one to you to sorry guys. Let's assume I want to file the txt to unique. Okay, so let's assume I don't want to say unique file the txt. So I can actually do something like this one. Unique and then 1 2 3 file the txt. Oh wait, can you see what it does? So instead of using this pipe here, I can cut the file, and then because this triple less than the means that yo unique, here is a file for you. You understand, right? So oh sorry, here is a string for you. So this is how this triple less than works, and you can actually do like a lot of them with like a lot of things with them. We have like 20 minutes, so we're gonna be using standard in and standard out and standard error. This echo dollar sign question mark, it shows you the last execution code. For example, if I echo question mark dollar sign, it should show me zero because the last code that I execute, it was executed correctly. But if I just type just random thing that doesn't really exist in Linux, for example, it complaint command doesn't found, right? If I sound this one, it show me 127 because the 127 code stands for command not found. And if you want to know more about this one, you can search man this one, I guess. Manual page section zero. This one. Person, it doesn't exist in the manual page, or maybe I didn't install the manual page of this. But like, if you really want to know much about it, you can just Google it. And this one, two less than, it stands for standard error, basically. So for example, you see this output zsh command not found. What is it? It is an error, right? So let's assume I want to send this error to a file. For example, I can say two less than error, like this. I press enter. You didn't see the error now. The error is gone. And if I press ls, I cut error. You're gonna see the zsh command not found. So basically, this means send the error to a file because sometimes when you run a script, you want to know the error for the future for like debugging purposes and stuff. So this is how you use it. And this one, two less than and one, this means that send both standard error and standard output to a file, for example. So now let's assume I decided I want to send all of them, like including the text error, but this one is gonna show me error. So let me just double see if I press yes, whatever is it. What? I I removed the S for some reasons. You see, like if I cut error, you should be able to see the error, like with the standard input. And this one they're actually the same. This one is just a shortcut version of doing this one. So I think we are kind of moving forward, and then now we're gonna talk about the basic tools that you use in Linux. We have the find command. This find command it requires. I think you should actually learn some stuff here on your own. This find command is gonna take time to explain. We have the where is command. For example, if you want to search for something, you can search for where is cat. It's cat. See, cat is located in here and here. And then there is call time and date. Call stands for calendar. It's gonna show you the calendar. Time it's gonna show you how many like the what is the average time of execution in your CPU right now? As you can see, like the total of things that I executed, and date is going to show you today's date and time. It's going to be December. And sleep is basically sleep. You know what sleep is? Let's say sleep 2 seconds. It's going to wait for 2 seconds and then come back. And neophage, this one is just going to show you like a general information of your system. Let's say neophage. Let me make this smaller for you guys to see. Still, it's not really visible. I think this one is visible. You see, it kind of shows you like the OS you're using. I'm using Arch, the PC you are using, how long your PC is on, and your memory and things. So let's go to the next part, which is network. So networking is actually a very important thing in Linux because of how Linux really works. So we have some commands, nmcli, it's gonna shows you the available Wi-Fi. But right now, actually, this command will not work in my PC because I'm using a VPN, nmcli Wi-Fi. It's gonna complain that no, like networking manager is not running. So this is not gonna show anything. But in your PC, it just shows you like the the Wi-Fi that's available, and then if config, it shows you the if config the IP address of your PC, IP routes. They almost do the same thing. Ping, if you want to ping to Google, you can ping to Google and see that your thing is working. And then net start too, it shows you like the internal network settings in your PC. And then we have the compression. We have zip on zip. You already know these ones. But how can you zip a file though from a terminal? That's a pretty key thing. So let's assume I want to zip this zip. Tag R means like a recursive to zip anything inside the file. So let's you want to zip error file inside so I have to give the file name first, file the zip. If I press ls, you're gonna see file the zip. Okay, so let me make a folder called zip underscore files. I'm gonna copy cp file zip file, sorry, file to the zip file. You all understand what I'm doing right now. So if I unzip this file, you can see we have error and file to here, right? Just want to demonstrate you how zip works. And then we have tar. Tar2 is like a zip, but this one is actually only for Linux. We have 7z, 7z, and we have gunzip. So some Linux distribution they doesn't support zip, they support gunzip. So sure, you have it if you are really into using gunzip. So I think we're almost done. Compression finished. I'm gonna delete this one right here. What is this? Interesting. These are control operations. They're gonna take a lot of time to explain this. Okay, I think I will give you assignment, you guys, to learn about these control operations. And then if you have any question, you can DM me. You already have my phone number. And maybe next week before the session, I will try to test your knowledge on these control operations. And users too. I don't really think we have time to explain this. All right, so I am gonna give you assignment to learn about control operations and users. If you have any question, message me. And this is just like a final page. Let me come back to the meeting. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Wassalam.
Well, that was a very, very long talk, and we still haven't covered everything because actually Linux is a very, very big thing that you cannot just cover it in 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So I gave you some homework that I'm expecting you guys to do things on your own. Maybe that would help a little bit. And next week we're gonna see how it will be going. And for the break, I don't think this session we're gonna be having break because I already ate the break time. I'm sorry. So I guess we should just go straight away to the question and Q&A part. If you have any question, you can ask me, and I can answer inshallah.
You are presenting.
Oh my god, I'm stupid.
If there's any question, you can just open your mic or type in the chat box. Brother Abu, somebody asked, can we extract deleted files from the trash in Linux?
Well, the answer is yes and no altogether at once. So actually, initially all Linux they don't really have a trash, but because because of the way people get used to using Windows, so that's why the developers they make something similar to Windows, which is called trash. So if your distribution supports trash, then yes, you can extract something. But if your distribution doesn't support trash, when you delete something, it is already gone. For example, right now in my PC, I don't really have something called trash. So like if I delete something, it's like okay, that thing will never be back to my PC. So your answer is situational. Someone asked me what is my experience using Linux and how did you start getting used to using Linux? It's a long story. It's like 3 to 3 years ago. It's like 2 years and something ago when my Windows license expired, and then and I actually doesn't know that there is a way to get Windows from iMalu for IIUM students. So I was like, let me just try this Linux thing. And since then, I try like multiple distributions. I try Ubuntu. I try more than 10 distributions, and then I just stick to Arch because of the simplicity. But like if you are looking for like an advice on how to really use Linux, I would advise you to just install it in your PC and use it. Trust me, there are a lot of ways that sorry, there are a lot of times that you cannot really there are a lot of things that it will take a lot of time. It's not something that you can just learn in 1 week or 1 month or something. No, because it's a lot of time, and eventually you'll get used to it. And another thing is like try to write some script in Linux, because if you write a script, for example, to automate things in your PC, that one too will make it how do you say this one? That one too will make you understand Linux a little better. Okay, I saw someone share like recover deleted files. Okay, so the thing is that how do you say this one exactly? So like we are talking about a normal user and how the operating system really really designed to work. Yeah, all those kind of utilities to recover deleted item and things, I know that they do exist, but you have to have some knowledge to use them in the first place, and most of them they are not really 100% guaranteed to bring the files back. And someone is saying trashes are important for digital forensics. Yeah, they are, but in the digital forensic part, we are actually dumping all the files. So like even if you delete something, as long as it exists in some part of the operating system, you can still like recover it. But yes, it's a very very good like good thing to know. Don't really delete your project and then start like searching like how to get your project back. It's most likely you will not get it back. Oh, so is there any question for you guys? So it is either one. It's either one of the two. You are either like very cleared, or it's like you didn't really understand much things. Which I totally understand if you didn't understand, at least for now, because there's a lot of things to really digest all in one session. So I guess you should try to learn things on your own, because by the word CTF, no one can actually teach you everything in CTF. Like most of the things is just how you try to spend all your time and how you organize yourself. Like the only thing I can show you is just like a very basic. And I think I would like to share a book with you guys. Maybe if you got a free time, then you can read the book. Where is the book, anyways? This book is like 300 pages. It's not that much. You can read it in like a week. Someone is asking for advice to win competition. Well, I'm not really good at winning competitions either, because but the only advice I will advise you, if it comes okay, so when you are doing competition, you really need to have a goal in your mind. You either want to win or you want to gain the knowledge. And like by winning, then you will get the knowledge. So a very good advice is to have reliable teammates, which is very good because you cannot really win a city of competition alone, unless if you already know the questions. So then yeah, you are actually like not competing, because most of the time the questions are not designed for only one player. No, all CTFs they are team based. So have a have a reliable teammates and practice. These are my two advice: reliable teammates, practice. No, no, Linux is actually not part of academic syllabus. From my knowledge in UIA, because we actually doesn't have Linux as like an academic syllabus. And I think actually we should have it, because um, if you graduated, if you are into infosec and all this kind of stuff, you actually need Linux. Yeah, the answer is no. It is not in the academic syllabus. But if you really want to learn something in the academic syllabus, or maybe if you are interested in something. Which programming language use most in cybersecurity? I can say Python and Perl. Just Python, it exists in most of the Linux system, and Perl too, it exists in most of the Linux system. And the reason why we use these two because of their integration with network. Like Python, has a very good libraries with network, and Perl too has very good libraries in network. But I will not advise you to learn Perl because you might possibly not gonna need it. But yes, you need to learn Python. This one is very important. And I happened to see a question about someone asking, is there a way to save the comments that I type in a TXT file or something? No, you actually don't have to. Yeah, they are already saved by default in a file called .history. Let me show you in my PC. Make it a bit bigger. So that file exists in here, and I can cut dot. So now it's time not to cut. We already know some commands. So I can just tell dot csh history. This one. So you have all the commands that you run here, all of them. And there's another command too to show you the history. Like if I say history, this one is like the timestamp and all the. You don't need to care too much about it as well. And that is the history. You see all the commands. If if you remember that I just typed tell tell.zsh, right? Can you see it here? It's the last command that I enter, right? It is command number 2785 here. And like you should always delete your history like maybe after like 2 weeks. Maybe I delete mine maybe like 1 week ago or something. This one is like a good network sorry, good security practice because inside these commands there's probably a password. Maybe you will not notice, but maybe sometimes if you want to log into something, for example, like me that I log into iMalum from terminal, so my iMalum password actually exists in my history. So like if you hack my system, you can easily get it. So that's why I try to delete your history like periodically. Um okay guys, I think we are done here. I'm gonna say see you next week, inshallah. So now I'm gonna pass the floor to our dua reciter, and thank you all for listening to me.
Thank you, Brother Abu, for the lovely session with us. So I'm just gonna call Brother Lukman to recite our closing recitation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah. Bismillah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Amin.
Amin, amin, Rabbal Amin. Thank you, Brother Lukman. So that's the end of our workshop. I hope if there's any misunderstanding or you guys doesn't understand anything, you can just text me or text anyone